spectacular. Well, about February 2020, and I don't really have all these vivid UFO dreams, and even though I've seen this stuff, I kind of have stupid dreams that don't mean anything. When in February 2020, I had this. I thought it was just a dream, and anyway, in this dream, they had like pulled me, and they had put me in a body on this alien planet, and I remember when they first put me in this thing. It was like I was drunk. I was falling down. I couldn't stand up straight. I kept falling down. They kept picking me up. I kept falling down. And she said, just sit there on the ground. And she goes, your synapses have to align or something to that degree. And anyway, finally everything, I guess, got aligned and I could work. And I thought, what do you mean? And there was another guy there named Jonathan. And he was another human, just like me. And he kind of told me his last name, and I'm still going to look and see if I can find this guy. I told him I think I know the country he's from, and he was there. He said that he was going to be the second one for this penile augmentation, and I'm going, what are you talking about? He said, I guess you realize this isn't Earth, right? And I look around. There's these white houses. It's a small community of these white houses. They look like 60-size houses. They have white picket fences. They have this grass lawns. They all look identical. The yards look identical. The picket fences look identical. The streets look nice, but there's not a car anywhere. There's this big surgical tent set up where these guys are doing stuff inside there. And this ET that came out and talked to me was wearing like this surgical gown-looking thing where you couldn't really see much of her. And anyway, what they were doing, and she goes, well, she goes, no, she introduced me to this Jonathan guy. She goes, this is Ronnie Dawson, and he goes, yeah, I'm familiar with Ronnie Dawson. She said, no, I don't. She said, I mean the real Ronnie Dawson. And he said, the real Ronnie Dawson? Are you serious? And he goes, oh, my God. Then he acted like he was meeting me for the first time. He was familiar with the clone, and he'd been around the Ronnie Dawson clone, but he didn't realize that this is the first time Ronnie Dawson was in this thing. So he was excited to meet me and shaking my hand, and he had a little bit of a weird accent. And he said, I guess you realize this isn't Earth. And he said, look at the sun. And I looked up at the sun, and it was a whole lot larger than the sun, and it was near. He said, you could almost look at it. And I looked, and you could. It was huge and burning in the sky, but it wasn't bright as our sun. I mean, you could almost stare at it. You could stare at it for a brief second without it hurting your eyes too bad. And I was like, yeah, that's definitely not our sun. And he said, yeah, this is not Earth. He goes, look at these houses. He goes, I said, yeah, they look like they're like 1960s houses in perfect condition, you know. And he goes, yeah. He said they built this place a long time ago, and he said, yeah, it's like everything's in perfect condition, like it hasn't aged a day. And it was like a retro, had a really retro-looking place. And there wasn't mountains and there wasn't hills, and the temperature was perfect. The air was easy to breathe, and the only thing weird, you wouldn't know you wasn't on Earth, like in Kansas or someplace. I didn't really see no mountains or anything in the background. I didn't really see any clouds visible, and the air was easy to breathe. The temperature was perfect. And anyway, she came back out and she said that well, we've got a female woman in here, and she's going through an estrous cycle. I didn't know what estrous cycle. Never heard that word before. Never used it in my whole life. It's not even in my vocabulary. Apparently, that is when cats go into heat. They have this cycle, and I guess when they breed, they get out of the cycle quicker or something like that. And she was asking me to go in there and have sex with this female, and they wanted to test out my augmented penis. And I thought, what in the world are you talking about? And she said, in your body back on Earth, we had to inoculate it to protect our interest. And I looked at the back of that leg where she said that I had been inoculated. There's nothing on it. And she goes, no. She said, I mean your body back there. And she was like pointing like back on Earth. And I started kind of realizing, this is not really, man. And it really come into play. She said, now, she said, pull your. I said, yeah, I'll be willing to do that if it would help you out, whatever. You know, yeah, I'm always happy to help you, whatever. I want to stay in good with these guys. I know I represent every man, woman, and child on the planet in relation with these things, and I don't want to piss them off. I'm gonna do everything I can to help them and get along with them. And she said, well, said this is your clone body, and it has a penile augmentation that we haven't tested out yet. And I'm going, really? And she said, well, to pull your short, I pulled my shorts down, and this thing, what used to be a penis, this thing is like long and lanky, and she said, just leave your shorts off. And I pulled these shorts off, and she put some kind of sand under my nose, and this thing got erect, and it was like 17 inches long, and it seemed like it came up almost to my chin. And the other guy, that Jonathan guy, was freaked out because he was going to be the second person to get one of these, and he had never seen one before, and he was like, oh my God. I'm going, oh my God, yeah. And she goes, yeah. She said that's so you can mate with the females or whatever. Well, we can mate with the females or whatever. And so anyway, I followed her in the tent, and they had me have sex with this female alien. It was a young cat woman. She looked like a humanoid, but she had this same cat nose and mouth that the other one I had seen had. And they had me have sex with this thing, and with this long ass weird penis thing they had put on me. And then I got out there. She said, you can leave. You don't want to see the rest of this. And so I left the room and was talking to that Jonathan guy again, and they were doing something in there. Anyway, they came out later with an intestine of her vaginal tract, and they wanted me to see if the penis they had made would go all the way to the end of it, which was the weirdest request you could ever imagine. And they had these orderly people there. They pulled it out of the sack. We laid it over that one of the picket fences over there. We found the opening. She gave me the sand again to make this thing erect, and I had to put this thing over it, and you could see it filled the thing completely up, I guess like it was supposed to or whatever. And it was just the oddest thing you could ever imagine. And like I said, and then after they pulled it off, and all of a sudden this thing, she said, well, move it up and down on it. And I moved it up and down on it. And all of a sudden, I said, well, she said, do you feel like ejaculating? And I said, no, I don't. Sorry. I said, I don't feel like ejaculating, you know. And it's just a gut hanging on a fence, if you could imagine that. I'm like, nothing to be excited about. So I pulled this thing like a sleeve off of this long-ass penis thing they had put on this body. And then all of a sudden, after I pulled it off and put it back in the sack that they had carried it in, all of a sudden this semen just starts coming out of this long thing of mine. It just started dripping out, a lot of it just dripping out. And I couldn't feel anything, but it was dripping. It dripped on the shoe of this thing, and the Jonathan guy laughed at it. And if you can imagine, this is the oddest experience. And like I said, he laughed at it, and it was like, she said, well, you know, all right, said, we did everything we need to do today or whatever. And the next thing I know, I wake up in bed, right? I'm going, oh, my God, that is the weirdest dream ever. And I thought, wow, was that a dream? What the heck was that? You know, what was that?
Wow, I didn't know. You said the P word. I guess that's okay. I've never had a show with the P word on here, but
I don't know what else to call it.
The PP word. I don't know. One of my good friends out of Texas calls it PP, but people make fun of him because he was a CIA agent. And he does conferences. He's been on radio shows with me. He loves me, and I love him. And we were both investigators, and, and I love him. So Daryl Sims. You know Daryl? He's in your state.
I met him.
You know, have you been on, did you meet Daryl at the Roswell UFO? He goes there to Roswell.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where I met him, actually. Was at Roswell.
Really? Oh, he's so sweet to me, and God, he's got a lot of animals. And, we talked about his son and his wife and his kids and his dogs and, animals. He's an animal lover. He's got a beautiful wife. But, folks, our paranormal world, I can't believe Ronnie knows him. I didn't know if Ronnie knew him. Ronnie's only been on a couple of my shows, but he was a truck driver like me out of Texas, and so is Daryl. So this is old home week then. So tell me what you know about Daryl, because we only got a few minutes left. So, folks, I know y'all make fun of us, tinfoil hats and Bigfoot, and we got commercials and stuff. But, you know, I've got Ace Folklife Society, and Daryl and me and Ronnie, you know, we can all have different opinions, but it's okay because we've got a mad painter, Thomas R. Becker, made me a disclaimer on the front of this, but I guess it sounds more educated the way Ronnie said it, but I didn't really know. But now, you know, sometimes we have paranormal romance novels, and women love them, and we try to, so many publishers won't do our books, so we're independent publishers. And my brand is Timely Manor Books, and I do Kindle books, and I do Amazon. But, you know, it looks funny when you say the P word, but it sounds better than PP, but we don't know. We're adults, so we're trying to figure out how to do broadcasting. and so bear with me and Ronnie, but Ronnie, if we get hit on that, somebody will let me know, because I get all these fancy big companies saying, right, you know, I can and can't do stuff, but I apologize. But we got to tell our story. What do y'all want us to call it? Our long dong, or dong long, or ET, or alien, or? But we got to get with everybody on this. Daryl Sims out of Texas, he does conventions. But give me the Daryl Sims story and what year that was, if you don't mind. You and Daryl get together.
Yeah, it's like, you know, when I woke up, I thought it was I was telling myself it was just a dream, and then I went in the bathroom, and my wife said, "What is that on the back of your leg?" And I looked on the back of my left leg, and there was that picture I sent you of the marks, the triangular marks on my leg. And
those
I was like,
dots.
"Oh my God!" Yeah, and they told me that they inoculated me. They inoculated me so I'd be safe. They were protecting their interests from the COVID-19 virus, perhaps. And it was like, maybe some scientists started to take some of my blood and see if it is inoculated, how they did it. Maybe we could use it. I'd be willing to give a blood sample if somebody wanted to pursue that. But
well, can you
anyway,
let Daryl know? I need you to send that picture to Daryl Sims so he can put it in his collection out of Texas for our alien abduction. And then Steve Coburn does our California investigations. He's a real smart engineer person. You know Steve? I'll get you in touch if you don't know Steve. I hadn't had him on here in a while, but I'll have him back. He was having family stuff, and you know, like you, sometimes it's hard to get y'all on y'all's cell phones connected to my show. But I'll get you hooked up with Steve, and we'll have you come back and do a show, or have Steve come on your show on Saturday sometime, you know, on this paranormal. But we need us back an alien contact org and ET stuff. All right, but we've only got a minute or two, but just real quickly, let everybody know in this first episode how you know Daryl Sims and y'all met at the Roswell UFO conference thing, right?
Yes. I met Daryl Sims at the Roswell UFO conference. I never met him before. Like he looked like Johnny Cash, you know, dressed in black.
He does.
Black hat.
Yeah.
And and then we sat on a experiences panel on NBC's First Look episode, and it was filmed there at Roswell, and he was also on the panel with me. So that's how I know Daryl. Like I said.
Now, what year was NBC panel?
Yeah,
what year was that, Ronnie?
It was. I think it was a year, not this last October, but a year before that. We filmed it.
See, this was in 18.
Yeah, it was that First Look on NBC.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you, Ronnie, and Daryl. I love you, Daryl Sims. We gave you a little infomercial here, how you met Ronnie on Ronnie's first real show. Before, Ronnie's been a guest for me over the years with me and Janet Lesson. And I think you were on Revolution Radio too. But anyway, I love all my friends in radio and in all the conferences, UFO conferences. So y'all give me a call when you can. All right, Ronnie. Well, that's the end. We ended episode 1.